All right, Noah Kipkembo is setting the tone for our discussion with our analysts. Great to see you, gentlemen. It's been almost 2 weeks since we last touched base. I can't see the mark of voting on your hand, but I can see on Ramogi.
I still have it.
Yeah. But we are not badly off with yourself.
Okay, man.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, and Uhuru and Odhiambo, thanks again. Let's get the ball rolling. It's the country was literally in a tense moment a couple of days ago. That big announcement was made.
Yes.
Now everyone is looking at what next. Of course, the other camp has indicated they will be going to the Supreme Court. And at the end of the day, Kenyans are asking themselves, how will this impact on the economy? Because we are from a tough COVID environment. We've seen drought ravaging some parts of the country. Food prices are at an all-time high. Fuel prices are high. From where you sit, what next for the economy, Uhuru?
Unfortunately, it just seems like one of the prices we pay for a democratic system is the opportunity to challenge results. And we thought we were getting better at reducing the adverse effect of elections. And I think Kenya's had come to a place where we are quite relaxed. But of course, I'm afraid that this whole uncertainty hovering over the political system may, to some extent, extend the hesitation of investments. But we also happen to be in a very desperate place also as a country. And so there's a fairly restive sense in the population that just get back to work. And I think that in itself will have a very sobering effect on the contestants to keep this thing as short as possible.
Yes.
Because no one has time really to, you as the elite of this country have all the time in the world. But Wanjiku on the ground is suffering, and suffering serious. And you've seen, of course, from the various clips of the average Kenyan, they're not interested. They want to get back to work, and they want, especially the promises made in the manifesto, to start now. And to me, that in itself, I see it also influencing even the decisions of the Supreme Court, because there's a sense in which whatever the legal solutions are, politically this country is not ready to wait for much longer. We must get on with solutions.
Interesting. And I'll come back to you on that point, because we've also seen some quarters saying, for us to enjoy peace, justice must prevail. But I'd like to hear your thoughts, Ramogi, on just the Kenyans have had a very tumultuous time through the election cycle. Before that, we did see what characterized a couple of months from the 100 Bob Unga, which has been very elusive. I don't know if you've been able to get it at
I never got it.
But what do you see in the horizon in terms of how the economy will be performing in the next couple of months?
Well, first of all, I think I agree with Uhuru that we need to reduce the economic cost of elections in Africa. The financial cost of elections will probably be shooting up year after year, but the economic cost needs to come down, and the economic costs speak to the political risks. Because even though the political risks have gone down, history still makes people psychologically afraid to invest or to carry out business during elections period. And so you find that business has been on a downward trend in the past few months. Now that we have an election that has already been pronounced upon, and Kenyans have made a decision, the many people think that, the process, even as it goes on in court, should remain in court. In principle, I don't think Kenyans want another election.
Sure.
If we can have a peaceful transition into another government without another election, that will reduce the economic cost of this process, so that then the economic activities that we are having or that were on a lull can pick up immediately. And I think that would bring us back to another level. But just to answer you directly, what are my expectations in the coming few months? The president-elect has come fast and furious. First of all, of course, bringing on board several other parties who are not with him before the election.
Yes.
But secondly, he looks he's already started having discussions, diplomatic discussions with delegations from the U.S. Congress. And now he's already talking about policy, already talking about things that need to be done. That tells you that the 100 days, his first 100 days, are going to be serious, and he's going to make to make true some of his promises, including reducing the cost of living. I'm not sure how he's going to reduce the cost of fuel, given the global trends. And they had said that they are going to reduce the taxes on it, and that needs a lot of process on it. But I wish him all the best. I am quite hopeful.
All right, and let's take forward this discussion, Uhuru, as we anticipate better days ahead, especially with the numerous pledges from the Hustler Fund to reducing the cost of living for Kenyans. And I'd like to pick your mind, especially what are some of the practical solutions as we speak in regards to cutting down the cost of food, for instance. We've injected a subsidy program. Government has been, quote unquote, struggling to meet this obligation faithfully. We've seen some jitters from Treasury, as well as the fertilizer subsidy. There's the fuel subsidy. What in your bag of tricks should President-elect tap into?
One thing that Ramogi has said is critical. One is that government's tax regime around food, I think, is a quick win, because subsidies are not sustainable. But it also means that the sectors will carry some of that burden, more of that burden. So in his bag of tricks, one of course is taxation of essential foods. It's very attractive for governments because it's inelastic demand. People will always eat. But there's also the place where you can have an immediate sustainable effect. It's just that you then transfer that tax burden to other sectors, which I think we'll get a better feel for what those sectors are. The second one, of course, is the whole question of regulation. As governments have grown, and Kenya has been pretty good at this, almost to a fault. We've become very good at regulating a lot of our markets. That regulation happening in a context of the emergencies we have will almost certainly be looked at to reduce the burden, a regulatory burden in some of those, especially in the food sector, without, of course, endangering the population, for example, around like aflatoxin in maize. The third one, of course, is the whole commercial, there I see it is the commercial policy around the ability of our economy to take advantage of regional what do I call them? Regional competitive advantages.
Yes.
For example, Uganda does produce much cheaper maize than us. So does Tanzania. I would not be surprised that also will be in his toolbox in terms of saying, for now, there's no reason why, rice and maize meal in Tanzania and Uganda is an order of 2/3 the price here.
Correct.
And those are easy fixes to fix, and especially to also have the happy effect also of strengthening regional integration. Those are some of the things I imagine I can expect them to get on with immediately.
Quite interesting. And Ramogi, of course, the issue of food is very dear to Kenyans. Like we had in one of the clips there that the young Mama Mboga, the elderly, they just want their belly full. And looking at our production as we speak, it hasn't been that forward-looking. At the same time, when you look at the imports, it will take some time for the ships to dock. It's literally a dilemma for the next administration, if you ask me.
Yes, it is. Looking at the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, their number one point is investment in agriculture. And this is a winning formula. But first of all, I'm a big advocate of investing in agriculture because it does miracles in terms of the number of things it can sort out. One, it ensures food security. So that then as a country you have food security and you don't really need to depend on other people. And it also ensures that the scenes we are seeing of Kenyan starving is sorted. 2, it ensures that you lower your import of foods, and that sorts your balance of payment. But it also reduces your demand for dollars, because the dollar is a big issue now. We are having a dollar scarcity. 3, it ensures that as many people as have an acre of land can actually do that business of farming and get something substantive to educate their children and to lift themselves up and to maybe get capital for bigger and better investments. And so it is good enough for everybody. It's not like industry which is capital intensive and only the big boys play in that league. It's for a hustler.
All right.
So that's why I love agriculture.
Okay.
But so then if they keep their promise of investing in agriculture, I think it will sort a lot of the issues that we are seeing now in terms of ensuring that people have access to food.
Yeah.
But then again, the big question with this administration remains implementation.
All right, implementation. Well, Wahoro, as we come to the tail end of this discussion, I remember back in business school, one of our lecturers would tell us, Dr. Mudida, that in economics there's always two views to something. On one hand, if the courts, for instance, uphold the election outcome, life goes back to normal. But on the other hand, if they rule that we have anomalies in this election, how will this impact on the economy? Will it weigh down the economic momentum?
In that scenario, let's also appreciate that we already have a structure of government, and in a constitutional, in the creating of the constitution, it anticipated scenarios like this, and so there will be no vacuum as far as the machinery of government is concerned. Our current president, Uhuru Kenyatta, continues to be president until that sword is, until he gives he's sworn, until the president-elect is sworn in.
Yeah.
So there's no lacuna, there's no gap into those two. A lot of the emergency measures, in fact, and I like that you asked your question. The first question was, what can he fix now? What is the quick fixes, the toolkit now? And then my brother here talks about, okay, longer term, what do you do?
Yeah.
So the quick fixes can still happen. Of course, now because it will be it's a transitional moment, I don't think Kenyans should panic around there's no government to respond. Yeah, that I think it still continues. We still have a president. There will be we will never have a time where we do not have someone in charge, and I think that is important to emphasize so that you calm the population that it doesn't mean it's a crisis just because we're going back to elections. Yeah. The hard thing, and I think we both hinted at this, is the economy can ill afford a full-blown 60 days of election year again. And unfortunately, I think this is the second time, if the population is forced to go to an election, I actually think the outcome of that election will be fairly one-sided. Because Kenyans, I think, have signaled fundamentally they want a root and branch overhaul of the country.
All right. Ramogi, your closing thoughts on this?
Yes, I today we are agreeing a lot. I wish we fought more. But yes, the economy... Have
you decamped?
No, we are in the same camp always. Okay. The economic camp. The economy can ill afford another 60, 90 days of electioneering. Yeah. And I think that is a truth that we know. That is the truth that Kenyans know. And that is the truth that the Supreme Court knows.
What if it's just a recount?
A recount is, and that's why I was saying, if they can handle it privately within the ambit of the court, because a recount is a court thing. That doesn't stop me, for example, from doing business in the streets of Koinange, Nairobi. But the other one, however, makes people jittery in investment, in economic activity, because there's a lot of wait and see attitude. Sure. Because it's a major transition. You see, it's not a midterm election. A midterm election, but a major transition election, people are usually a bit jittery. Yeah. So I'd rather, if they can handle it at the level of the court, I think we'll be good.
All right. Many thanks there, gentlemen, and we'll definitely be keeping a close watch on how things pan out. And I want to release you. I know you have some other engagements in regards to welcoming your new governors, governor-elects, senators-elects, MP-elects, as they prepare to be sworn in come next week. Well, that brings us to an end on our discussion on BizChat with our panelists, and quite some great insights there on just a feel of the pulse of the economy and a lot of optimism that all aspects of the transition will be going on smoothly. Well, we have a lot coming up on the other side of the break. For now, we take a quick commercial break. Coming up next, we have BBC Money Daily, plus of course, KTN News will be back with some more stories.